Mallet etude turns out to be a lot of fun, and one of the first things that you'll want to do is decide what instrument you will play it on. I chose marimba, but you can be just as successful and have just as much fun choosing xylophone. And I think you could maybe even make a case to do it on vibraphone if you wanted, but I would narrow it down to maybe marimba or xylophone. One of the things with mallet etudes is just all the standard things that you might imagine. Working with dynamics is really important, hitting in the good areas of the bars and avoiding the node points. One of the key things for me is always making sure that you are standing in the middle of your playing area and the middle of the range of your area. In this particular piece, the low note that you'll play is C, and then the high note that you play is up here at that A. So I would just make it a real point, stand in the middle of that area. Have the music stand in the middle of that area, and have the music in the middle of the music stand, so you are centered up and you're not shifting needlessly from side to side with your feet, because you literally can just stay planted with your 2 feet in the same place for the entire etude. Going back to the dynamics, so it starts mezzo forte, we have a crescendo, and then diminuendo. And so my trick or tip for that is don't start mezzo forte, start mezzo piano, so you've got somewhere to grow to, because we're going to have to throw a doubling in somewhere. I throw it in the 4th beat, and again, at the end of this particular video should be the markings for my part, and you'll see where I did my doubles and some of the various other things that I did. But by starting a little bit softer, it's really helpful to make it that you're able to get louder. So I think that's really important. And then, of course, another thing, and this just goes without saying, it's the same for all instruments, but you want to have your metronome turned on, because this piece is testing your ability to shift from a duple time feel to a triple time feel. So you see all sorts of shifts from 16ths and 8th notes to 8th note triplets. And if you are left to your own devices, you will play this all wrong. So make sure that your metronome is turned on and you just stay with it, all the time. Like everything else, again, you're probably not starting at 108, but I do like the fact that I think it is a really reasonable tempo. I don't think it's unusually fast, and I think it's fast enough where we get a little bit of a tune and the feel of the rhythm is very nice. The slow section, one of the things that I'd be looking at here is there are some phrase indications, and I think in the world that I play in with marimba, when we're done with one phrase, we normally try to taper off a little bit, and in this section it's mostly a roll. So I try to taper off the roll a little, and then I try to enter the new phrase somewhat softly or with a little bit of a break, so that there's a juncture point. There's a bit of airspace to help define where the musical phrases are. I think you can make your playing stand out if you actually pay attention to where these phrase markings are, and you make an effort to demonstrate those particular phrases. A couple things that I like to do, and again, I feel this is unique to me, this is not something that you would need to do, but for instance, the octaves that happen in measure 18, you'll notice that that's at the end of a diminuendo, and they're meant to be piano. If you try to do the diminuendo, and you play those Fs, I think, in the normal position of the bar, it's likely that the Fs are going to poke out of the phrase, and it will seem like it was not a diminuendo. So those Fs, you'll notice on my playing of it, I move towards the node points. I think my left hand moves towards the north node point of the low F, and my right hand moves to the south node point. And that's in an effort to reduce the amount of tone to really create the effect of the diminuendo. The grace notes, or should I say grace note, you'll get the meaning of that later. In measure 21, I like to play the grace notes at the node points, because those notes are meant to decorate the principal tone, which is actually the A. Another important thing, and again, I just find this to be true almost all the time, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing an all-state audition or you are playing in the Christmas band concert. The simplest measures are the ones where we can easily make the biggest mistakes. One of our simplest measures is measure 26 in the Mallet etude. All we have to do is count 1, 2, boom, how easy can that be? And then you're into that last measure, or the last two measures. Make it a point for measures or points of time where you have space. Always subdivide the quarter beats so you are very cognizant of the time in between the larger beats, and you've just got a really much better chance at keeping the time steady and the right amount of time. So you'll see in the part that I marked, I wrote 1 and 2 and. The reason why I did that is every time I practiced it, every time I did that measure, my mind's voice is thinking 1 and 2 and. And it's so I don't make the easy, simple mistake. All I have to do is just count and be consistent with it, and it will turn out much better. The composer of this piece is a former student of mine from Gustavus. His name is Justin Schramm, and I contacted him to find out what was his inspiration for the piece and what did he want students to try to get out of it. And I really liked what he had to say about it. He really pointed out that these are all elements of music that you will be playing in band or orchestra. So playing double stops and playing those notes exactly together, playing rolls and connecting one roll to the next, playing faster articulate rhythms, using doubles, double right or double left. These are all elements, and he wanted to have the player be tested with all the things that you normally might do in some of the music that you are probably playing right now. So I would just look at the music as face value, try to be loud when it says loud, try to be soft when it says softer, turn your metronome on, and I think you will find that it will be pretty successful. One last tip, and again, you'll probably notice just from the video that I had done, I feel like for the fast music, it's important to actually try to memorize what it is that you're doing so you can look at your keyboard, because we know all the reasons why we might make mistakes in keyboard percussion, because you're probably practicing on an instrument that might be different than the instrument that you're actually going to do your recording on. And then we also know that there's no standard for marimbas as far as width of bars. So we have to adjust to whether it's a narrower barred instrument or a wider barred instrument. So if you have it memorized and you're actually thinking, oh, okay, I've got to start on the E, or now I have to make sure that I hit the G sharp with my left hand, I find that it's just a little bit easier to make the adjustment from one instrument to another, and I think you'll get more accuracy. So for the fast music, again, I just feel like it's important to try to memorize it. There's not that many measures, and it really, I don't think it's too hard to do so. I think for the slower section, totally fine. Go ahead, read it, enjoy playing and being lyrical. You don't necessarily have to memorize that, I don't think. But for the fast music on either side of the slow section, you will benefit by being able to memorize it. So I wish you the best of luck. All State is a ton of fun, and good luck in your preparation.